Thank you and welcome to this online virtual pre-camp meeting, which will be a virtual site tour of Biblins. My name is Debs McCann, and on VCamp I will be part of the safeguarding team. This evening I've prepared a few slides for you and I welcome questions throughout. We will just recap our usual etiquette housekeeping on online meetings. You are welcome to interrupt me with questions as you go through, but as you will have heard, this session is being recorded. So if you're not comfortable with your image being recorded and shared later, please leave your camera off. I'd appreciate if you could mute your microphone when you're not speaking, so we can ensure that the sound quality is as good as it possibly can be for those who are listening again at a later date. As I said already, you're welcome to interrupt me at any point to ask questions. You can do that by simply unmuting you and going, "Hi, Debs, I've got a question for you." Or you can type it in the chat. It may take me a minute to come to the messages in the chat, but I will get to them eventually. The slideshow and the recording will be shared after the event, so you don't have to take any screenshots to do your own recordings. But if you want to take notes, take some notes. You will find all the links on the VentreCamp website after today. So what are we going to cover in tonight's session? I'm going to talk about the site location. It is at Biblins Youth Campsite. I'll talk about how we travel to the site. I'll share a little bit about our thoughts for the moment about site layout and the village locations. I know that you will all want to know where the village locations are and who's in each village. I won't be in a position to confirm that tonight, as we're waiting for the booking deadline in 2 and a bit weeks before we confirm exactly who is in which village, because we want to be certain that we have as much as possible roughly the same sizes and a sufficient adult to child ratio in each village. I'll talk a little bit about the central area and remind you of the other pre-camp venture sessions that are taking place both online and in person over the next 2 and a bit months. So, as I've already said, the event will be taking place at Biblins Youth Campsite. This is in Herefordshire, along the River Wye, and Woodcraft Oak have been managing the site since 2018, so celebrating our 5th birthday on the site. The postcode is HR960X, and you will find directions on our website. If you look at biblins.org.uk/contact us, there are some simple directions there. The nearest train station is Hereford, and there is easy car access from the A40, which connects both to the M5 and the M4. There is an alternative coach access to the main entry road, which, if you need that, the details are on the Biblins website, but do let us know and we'll make sure that coaches are timed so that they won't have a little bit of a coach pile up. It is an alternative, slightly wider road and easy turning circle for the coaches at the end, but only if they come one at a time. As typical with Woodcraft Folk events, and particularly VentreCamp, a shuttle bus service will be provided, and that will be provided from Hereford train station. The shuttle bus, we have booked 2 58-seater coaches, and they will be moving in rotation between Hereford train station and the site on the arrival date of the 5th of August and on the departure date of the 12th of August only. So we are expecting the first coach to leave Hereford train station at 1 p.m. on the 5th of August, and that will run until 6. So please make sure that your trains arrive in plenty of time to meet that 1 to 6 p.m. window. After 6 p.m. the coaches will not run, and it is more than an hour by taxi to the site, so that could be an expensive trip. We have asked people to indicate if they want the shuttle bus service on the booking system. If you can't remember, please log into the system and check, and you can always change your preference. And then on the departure date, again, we have 2 coaches and they will be taking in rotation. We will ask delegation leaders to tell us their train time, and we will organise people for those to get to Hereford in time. But you may wish to have early afternoon, lunchtime trains, as the first coach will be departing at 9 a.m. on the day of departure. There will be no other shuttle service on other days throughout the camp, and there is a very limited public bus service at both Whitchurch and Monmouth. For those of you who've been to Biblins before, Monmouth is a 4-mile walk to the bus stop. Whitchurch is slightly closer, although is up and downhill down a narrow lane, and I would not advise it. Now, it may be possible to arrange lifts from other campers, but the central coordination team will be busy running the camp and will not be offering lifts to Hereford train station between the arrival date and the departure date. So just to make that really clear. Welcome to those who've recently joined. If you have any questions, by all means, unmute yourself and ask or pop the question in the chat. I will continue with the slides. So I've told you so far that the event is happening in Herefordshire, and about the shuttle bus service. We do expect that some groups may wish to bring a minibus or a car, and it will be fine to access Biblins' main entrance. With that, anything bigger than a minibus, we will arrange for you to have the access on the alternative side of the river, which is our coach access. What else do you want to know about Biblins? So on site, there is the cabin. The cabin will be used as the camp office. There is also the burrow, which is a unique, I'm going to say indoors, a 20-bed construction with a retractable roof, and our international volunteers will be staying in the burrow. The bunkhouse is there too, but we're not planning on using that proactively, as it is away from the central area, and feedback from participants from the Venture Camp in 2019 said it was hard to locate, and they preferred the programme areas to be very close to each other. There is also Camp Kudu, which is a semi-permanent a series of bell tents, which is pitch 1 of Biblins. Here will be where the volunteer support PEB centre to provide support to the adults on camp. And in total, there are 20 acres of camping pitches. There's a question about will be people coming to pre-camp get there from the station without having to get a taxi? So let me just pop back, Paul, for your question. So I was just talking about the shuttle bus service. So on the first day of camp and the last day of camp, there will be 2 coaches going backwards and forwards relay, taking campers from the site to the Hereford train station. If people arrive on other days, other than the first or the last day of camp, it is possible to get a bus from Hereford train station to Monmouth, and then it's only a 4-mile trip to the campsite, which is clearly a much cheaper taxi, or it may be possible that another camper will be able to come and pick somebody up. But the coordination team is not providing a taxi service other than the shuttle buses on the arrival and departure dates. So hopefully that answers your question, Paul. So let me talk a little bit about what's different from 2019. In 2019, we had a central area which was located on pitches 6 and 7. This time, the central area will be on pitches 4 and 5, and therefore more central. We had feedback that people who were camping on pitch 1 had a long way to walk. Now, the central area will be more central. There will still be some people who will have to walk up and down the site, but it will be slightly shorter. We have changed the use of the burrow and the bunkhouse. So as I mentioned a minute ago, the borough will be housing our international volunteers who are coming to Biblins to help set up, run and then take down the camp. And the bunkhouse will be used as a meeting space, but not as a programme space. Because we've moved the central area, the village locations will be slightly different, but I'll show you that in a second when I've got the map and it's probably easier for you to see. But we've also moved the location of Camp Kudu. Camp Kudu, since it was first put up, was on pitch 5, but some of you will be aware that we've had some flood issues with Camp Kudu, and therefore the volunteer and staff team at Biblins have just relocated this very month Camp Kudu to pitch 1, which is slightly higher ground and therefore above the flood line. So Camp Kudu is now on the Monmouth end of the village on Camp 1. And the other most significant thing this year compared to 2019 is that we're providing adventurous activities on site. So every camper will have an opportunity to go canoeing, which will be from the canoe launch past pitch 12. And there will also be an opportunity to go climbing on the cliffs around Biblins. These activities will be provided by qualified and experienced instructors, and the climbing will take place very close to pitch 7. It's probably easier if I show you this on the map, so you can see here. Hopefully you can see my cursor at the very what will be the right of your screen as you look at. You can see this little green image of somebody in a canoe. That's where the canoe launch is. So we will be doing canoeing activities from there on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday of camp. Pitch 10 and 11 will be empty for games and activities. We heard that people didn't want to walk too far, so we've left some space there for play. Carrying on, I'll carry on working from east to west. Pitch 8 and 9 will be used for one of the villages, and you can see here that each one has its own rubbish area where we will find big red wheelie bins to put your recycling and your non-recyclable waste. There is also a water tap. The second village will be in pitches 6 and 7. Again, there are red wheelie bins and there is also water, and this is immediately in front of the shower and toilet block and what's known as Herf's Barn, which is a wooden barn where you can get some shelter in case it is too hot or too wet. This year, the central area will be where on this map it says Camp Kudu and pitch 4. As I've just said, this month Camp Kudu has moved to pitch 1, and the warden's office cabin area here where it says the info is where the camp office will be. The famous Biblins Bridge is clearly here in the middle of the site, and then we move further round towards Monmouth. The third village will be on pitches 3A and 3B, immediately in front of the borough and the bunkhouse. And then the final village will be on pitches 2 and 2B. Again, there are taps and there are wheelie bins for your recyclable and non-recyclable rubbish throughout the site. People will be expected to move the rubbish from their village to the red wheelie bins, where they will be emptied a few times during the camp. Pitch 1 will not be used for camping, but in pitch 1 is where Camp Kudu is, and this will be the area for volunteer support and the PEB centre. All the main marquee, the evening programme, the cafe and the individual activity centres will all be happening right in the bottom of the horseshoe of Biblins by pitch 4 and what currently says Camp Kudu, pitch 5. Hopefully that's clear. This map is available on the Biblins website, so if you want to take a closer look, you can see on this map the little yellow dots which indicate the public footpaths. So for those who haven't been to Biblins before, there is a public footpath throughout the site, and we will need to be vigilant in our camp, and we will talk to you about how you set up your villages to create a natural barrier between us and members of the public. I will show you this map again before the end of the session, but let me tell you a little bit more about the site services. So on the campsite, there are already toilets and showers. There are individual wet rooms, showers and toilets near pitch 1 and 2. So those villages 3 and 4 will be encouraged to use those. We will also have additional Portaloo toilets. We have ordered 6 of these, and they will be located near pitches 3 and 9. The people who are camping in the middle also may wish to use the toilets alongside the bunkhouse. Those who are camping in pitches 6, 7, 8 and 9, again, some of the Portaloos will be down by you, but you'll also have access to the main toilet and shower block, where there is an accessible wet room, but there is also a bank of showers and a bank of toilets and sinks, everything you'd expect to have in a toilet and shower block. And just in case you weren't sure, here's some photographs. So the one on the left is the toilet and shower block for pitches 6 and 7, which will be used by village 1 and 2. And the one on the right is the one that's on the Monmouth end of the site, where there are individual shower and wet rooms. So you can see, if you look very close at the pictures, there are shower heads on some doors, and there are multi-gender images on the others where the toilets are. These all have combination locks, and it's really, really important that campers make sure that they shut the doors behind them and don't leave them open for members of the public. What else do you want to know? I talked about the village locations. So as I said, there will be at the moment 4 villages, and we're spreading those out between pitches 2A and 2B, 3A and 3B. The central area will be pitches 4 and 5, and then next villages 6 and 7, 8 and 9. So we will be leaving pitches 1, 10 and 11 vacant to give us sufficient space to play. And as a little reminder, here is the map again. So as I said, 1 will be empty, 1 village will be across 2A and 2B, 1 village will be across 3A and 3B, 4, and what says Camp Kudu here, 5, will be the central area where all the activities are taking place. 6 and 7 will be a village, 8 and 9 will be a village, 10 and 11 will be empty. Past 11 is where the canoe launch is, and the canoeing will take place on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. And this bit where it says dangerous cliffs is where we will be doing our climbing again on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. We are really excited that last month Biblins was awarded an adventurous activities licence, and we're now in a position to be able to provide water sports and climbing for our guests. And as we had feedback from venturers from the 2019 camp that they wanted to do more adventurous activities, and it made sense to access the water as we were by the Wye. This year we've arranged for canoeing and for climbing for our venturers, which is why you were asked about how far you can swim on the consent forms. What else would I like to tell you? So in the central area, there will be a main marquee, and we have music and events every other night in the main marquee, but I will leave the programme team to tell you about that at a different online virtual pre-camp session. Also in the central area will be a collection of marquees where we will have our programme centres. At the moment we have an activism centre, a mythology centre, an arts and crafts centre, a nature centre, the media centre. I've used the word radio station, but the radio centre and the solar cinema. We're also having a cafe area where people can sit, chill and relax. Now the plan is to have a couple of cafes operating throughout the time, so that some cafe volunteers can have a rest and they're not having to work from dawn until dusk. So we expect the cafe area to be busy and for the style of cafe to change throughout the week. And again, there is a session with the cafe team later next month. So come along to that and find out all about that. There is a steward office, which really is just a marquee, which will be outside the cabin, and the cabin will be the place where if you need to use an emergency telephone, you can, and the cabin will be the place to come if you need any help or support, because that will be where the coordination team are based. And then finally, not in the central area, the volunteer support PEB team will be based with Camp Kudu near Pitch 1, so away from the central area for some peace and quiet for volunteers. That's all I wanted to tell you about the virtual site tour, unless you have any further questions. But I do want to tell you about the other up and coming sessions that the team have planned. So you will see now that sometimes twice a week, we will have short virtual sessions. We will be covering the code of conduct in 3 sessions. So if you want to know a little bit more about a typical day on camp, join us on the 2nd of May. You can meet Thomas, the coordinator, on the 9th of May. And if you want to make sure that you get your booking in before the deadline, there is a booking support session where we will talk through how to use the online booking system on the 16th of May. I mentioned already that you have an opportunity to meet the cafe team and the programme team, who will be able to tell you about the evening entertainment. We are looking to publish next week the latest updated information pack. So there will be some information about the evening programme in that resource. All of these dates are on the Venture Camp website, and we will be recording all of these sessions. So if you can't make it live, you won't have to miss out. And that's really the end of my session, unless you have any questions. And there are no questions in the chat, so I'm going to stop recording and then see if that means